Hello everyone. It's been a while since my last properly scripted video, so we're gonna jump back into it with a guide of sorts. There's a lot to talk about in Fire Emblem Three Houses, but one of the more intricate and deep mechanics that has been expanded upon is class changing and promotion. So I wanted to discuss that and how that works. Just to give you guys a heads up, this video will be spoiler free, aside from the actual classes and their growths. So just a heads up to everyone, I will be using Byleth as the primary example so that I don't spoil what the other units look like. This does prevent me from showing female-only classes, but I think you would prefer that to post-time skip spoiler portraits. Now, this was a feature that initially confused me a lot. In my Let's Play, I thought that anyone could do anything at first. Boy, was I wrong on that. I was trying to make a flying Dark Mage Hubert, so I figured that maybe I should do a video to sort of briefly explain how this works. There are 5 tiers of classes: the Noble Commoner tier class that everyone starts with, the Beginner classes, Intermediate, Advanced, and Master classes. To promote to the next class, you have to satisfy 2 main requirements. Requirement number 1 is to have the right level to promote, which is 5, 10, 20, and 30 respectively. Now, this is an actual hard stop, and you're not actually going to be able to promote without it. The second requirement in order to promote is to have the right weapon level for that promotion. Now, this one is a little bit more fluid, and you might be able to weasel yourself into a class with levels lower than the requirements, as the chance to pass the exam is percent-based. You aren't allowed to take an exam at lower than 30% pass chance, though, so look out for that. Regardless, you will need a weapon rank that is at least close to the suggested one, otherwise your pass percentage will be 0. The main thing that messed me up, though, was how drastic the curve of requirements is for master classes. After all, I guess they're called master classes for a reason. Now, most master classes will require either 2 weapon proficiencies or 2 movement proficiencies to be at relatively high levels. For example, the Wyvern Lord requires A in axes and C in lances, while some require movement levels like the Great Knight requiring both A in armor and B+ in riding. So, what's the best way to manage your class changing in order to get into the master classes quickly and easily? Well, the best way to do so is by mapping out the movement type that you want your unit to be in. And that's fairly simple. There's 4 major movement types out there: infantry, armored, cavalry, and flying. Each one of these has a master class attached to it. While armored only has the Great Knight, infantry has the Mortal Savant and Grimoire or War Master depending on your gender. The cavalry has a ton of classes, I think there's 4 of them in the master tier, and the flyer has 2, being the Falcon Knight and the Draco Knight. Movement skills, in my opinion, are probably the hardest ones to level up, so getting those decided on early is a good decision. But at first, you won't really have access to different movement classes outside of infantry. So what do you do until you unlock those in Intermediate? Well, that's simple. You should focus on leveling your weapons to start with. I'll map out the recommended starting weapon type for each master class on screen here so you can look at it while I'm talking, but basically, since master classes generally have 2 weapon requirements, you will want to start working on these requirements early in order to hit them by level 30. It might seem like you have a lot of time on your hands, but the levels come quicker than you think, and you may find yourself well into the 30s without being able to promote into a master class. This isn't always a bad idea, as you think though, but I'll cover that in another video. Now, you might be wondering, if all the beginner classes will basically be the same, then does it really matter which one I go into for those 5 levels? Well, in the grand scheme of things, not really. But each individual class has growth boosts that stack on top of your unit's base growths. Myrmidon gets speed, Soldier gets dex, Fighter gets strength, and Monk gets res? In all honesty, these classes might get a small boost on weapon leveling points, but Monk and Soldier hardly feel worth it for the 5 levels to forego the potential boost in strength or speed. So I'd recommend all classes go those 2 to start with. But it is only 5%, and that boost is minor, but any bit to make your unit stronger can help, I suppose. To do that, though, you may need to focus their primary weapon in your first 5 levels as a noble/commoner. And don't let that really stop you. You really just need an E+ rank in said weapon to get above 70% chance of passing the exam, so that might be a small price you're willing to pay in the long term. While the first 10 levels may not seem like much, if you optimize them, you'll be able to get a much better head start and potentially have slightly stronger units in the long run. It'll also save you a lot of unnecessary grinding while fumbling between classes that you don't know how to unlock, and discovering the requirements later on when it's annoyingly difficult to bring a skill from E up to A. Anyways guys, I hope this was a helpful guide of sorts towards managing your class changing. I know this is just a basic look at class management, and I will probably be looking at assembling a guide for more advanced stuff like skills and combat arts, and maybe crunching some real numbers in the future, sort of around how to best optimize your units, so to speak. But that'll have to wait until I'm basically finished playing the game first. Next, though, I'm going to be working on a list of what I think my best classes are in 3 Houses, so stay tuned for that, and leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to support the channel, and as always, thanks for watching. Peace.